Imagine waking up one morning and seeing HOA construction crews parked on your land. Their president legit decided she runs the lake now. I didn't argue. I didn't fight. I just let them build for 6 months straight. Because the day I flashed the deed, their whole resort legally became mine. I grew up near a wide, quiet river that curves like a giant horseshoe through our little county. Right at the bend, there's a peninsula. My dad used to call it River Point. That's where he built his dream boathouse decades ago. Summers were all about repainting the dock, fixing railings, and teaching me how to strip engines and reseal holes. He used to say, "This river, this land, this is our legacy. Don't ever let anyone try to bully you out of what's yours." When my dad passed, the land became mine, straight up legal. Deed, survey, title, all locked down. The peninsula sits just outside the HOA's boundary. They run the housing development behind me. I run my slice of river heaven. County maps? Bold black lines. Crystal clear. Until she showed up. Karen type. Power haircut. Loud voice. I read 3 law blogs, so I basically know everything energy. The type who can't stand that not everything bows to her. First time she spotted me pressure, washing my dock, she marched up like she owned the whole bend. "You're going to need to submit a shoreline modification request," she said, arms folded, chin high, like she was dropping a death sentence. I blinked. "Ma'am, this is my land." She gave that fake gasp laugh. "This bend is inside the HOA's environmental zone. Board approval is mandatory for any structural changes." I pulled up the county GIS on my phone, showed her the bold black line. Right there, outside their authority. She shrugged like I was wasting her time. "That's outdated. HOA charter supersedes maps now." Boom. Right then I knew this wasn't ignorance. This was full-on greed. She wanted the peninsula. She wanted river access. She wanted it all. I didn't yell, didn't start drama. Walked back into my boathouse and shut the door. Weeks later, I wake up one morning to beep, beep, beep. Heavy trucks backing up, steel plates slamming into dirt. I step outside and my stomach drops. HOA construction crews on MY Riverbank. Staging gear, stacking lumber, surveying MY shoreline like it's their next resort. I walk over, ask the foreman, "Yo, what's going on here?" He checks his tablet. Phase 1 of the HOA's river recreation expansion. I stare. "Whose property is this?" He points at the peninsula. HOA-owned shoreline. I blink. "Sir, this is my deeded land." He shrugs. "Talk to your HOA president. We just follow orders." And that moment, I hear my dad's voice in my head. "Don't let anyone bully you out of what's yours." So yeah, I made a choice. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I didn't kick them out. I let them build. Because they're bold enough to dump cash and crews on my land. They're arrogant enough to ignore the paperwork. And that's when the real fun begins. Next up, they didn't just build, they threw a public grand opening. Without even knowing who actually owned it. The morning of the grand opening came like a punch to the gut. I was sipping coffee on my boathouse deck when I saw it. Banners fluttering, folding chairs set up, a shiny ribbon stretched across the edge of my peninsula. River Point HOA recreational expansion. Grand opening today. The sign screamed, bold letters mocking me. I blinked. For a second, I thought I was dreaming. They actually went through with it. And worse, they invited the entire neighborhood. Cars lined the narrow road behind the HOA. People laughing, kids running, as if this was their playground. My playground, apparently, didn't matter. Karen was front and center, waving like a queen surveying her kingdom. Her smile was the kind that makes your blood boil, because you know she's enjoying every second of someone else's misfortune. I stood there, mud boots sinking slightly into the soft riverbank, heart calm but mind racing. Everyone else saw a new community hangout. I saw a massive legal mistake. The HOA had spent months, tens of thousands of dollars, installing docks, clearing the peninsula, and building cabins, all on land I legally owned. And the kicker? Not a single permit mentioned my property. Not one. I walked toward the crowd, casually, like I was just another curious neighbor. Karen spotted me and froze mid-wave. Her perfectly manicured hands faltered on the ribbon-cutting scissors. Something shifted in the air. I swear you could hear her internal panic scream. One of the HOA board members noticed me too, eyes darting nervously. That's just our community project," someone stammered. I smiled, tilting my head. "Community project? On my land?" Karen laughed nervously, a short, tight sound that didn't reach her eyes. "The peninsula falls under HOA development zoning. It's shared space." I shook my head. "Actually, it doesn't. Check the county records. All clear lines, all my property." Her face twitched. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off, calmly, deliberately. "You've built a full resort here, and you didn't check the deed? That's bold." A hush fell over the crowd. Neighbors were glancing back and forth, sensing tension, wondering who owned what. The kids didn't notice. They were still running in and out of the cabins. But the adults, you could see the unease settle in their shoulders. I pulled out my phone, flipped it open to the scanned copy of my father's original deed, dated decades before this HOA even existed. Karen caught sight of it and froze completely, her lips parting slightly. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, letting her panic play out in real time. I let the moment linger. And then something unbelievable happened. A neighbor stepped forward, whispering to Karen. Her eyes widened. Someone else pointed toward the ribbon, then back at me. The crowd started murmuring. I realized that moment that the HOA hadn't just made a mistake. They had built an entire show of their power, flaunted it, and invited witnesses on the wrong land. And just when I thought the tension couldn't get any thicker, when the kids ran past, tripped on a piece of lumber, and the scaffolding leaned dangerously toward the newly built cabins. The crowd gasped. Karen's face drained of color. I didn't move. I just stood there calm as the realization hit her. Their whole grand opening had crumbled before their eyes. And it was all on MY property. And that's when I knew the real fun was about to begin. Next, I had a plan that would make every HOA member wish they'd never stepped foot on my peninsula. By the weekend, I had my plan mapped out, legal letters prepared, photos organized, and every interaction noted. Everything they'd done in ignorance or arrogance was about to backfire spectacularly. The only thing left was timing. I had to wait until the moment of maximum impact, when the HOA and Karen felt untouchable, before revealing the full truth. And then it hit me. The perfect storm was already forming. Karen had booked the weekend gala, yes, but in her rush to impress investors, she'd forgotten one tiny detail. The peninsula's northern dock had been surveyed by a new county inspector last month. That report? It explicitly flagged every structure built without permits. Every single cabin, every dock, every walkway on my property. I smiled, because when those inspectors arrive, all the cameras, all the smiling neighbors, all the fancy speeches would mean nothing. Every boastful move they'd made would be under the scrutiny of official documentation. And I would be the one holding the key to their humiliation. I left my boathouse quietly that night, walking along the riverbank, letting the moonlight reflect on the water. I imagined Karen's face when the gala began and the inspector walked in, clipboard in hand, checking structures against legal lines. The arrogance, the smugness, the inflated sense of power, all about to collapse in front of the entire community. I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt satisfaction. The slow burn of someone who had played the long game while others rushed ahead blindly. And the best part? They had no idea. Every step they'd taken, every dollar spent, every ribbon-cutting smile, it all played right into the hands of the person they thought they had powerless over. Next, when the gala begins, they'll realize too late that the stage they built for themselves is actually a cage, and I hold the keys.